Yo, what's up boys, and welcome to a first look at a brand new zombie survival game most of you probably haven't heard of before, called Dead Matter. And I know what you're thinking, not another shitty zombie survival game. I agree with you, there was a point in time where the world of gaming was infested with zombie survival games trying to make a quick buck from DayZ's success. But that success is now 5 years in the past, and I'd say between now and then, 5 years? It's a pretty long time. There hasn't really been any game which has done what people have wanted it to do. An open world zombie style game with a large quantity of zombies in which you are able to barricade up houses, loot different areas, engage in PvP, and have an actual threat which is a zombie. Like, name me a game which does all those things, it just still doesn't exist. And there's really no reason for it not to exist. Yes, it is a hard thing to do in terms of networking with a game, to make all that work with a decent quantity of zombies. Not even necessarily as many as you'll see in these videos, but just more than DayZ standalones, for example, where there's like 100 per map or something. That would be pretty cool in mine and many others' opinions. But anyway, without out the way, let's talk a bit about Dead Matter, since that's what this video is about anyway. So there is still a decent chance this game could suck. It's had a very successful Kickstarter, with its original goal being reached in just a few days after it was launched. You guys can check out the game's Kickstarter in the description below, and also its Steam Greenlight page if you do so desire. But just keep in mind, there's many games which have had successful Kickstarters, like Survivor Nights and Identity, and those games are just getting constant release dates pushed back and back, with Survivor Nights actually recently being pushed back from July. It's not looking likely to come out in July now, since we are near the end of that month. So these are just the harsh realities of, you know, Kickstarter projects really. A lot of them will not meet expectations or will just outright fail. So the weird thing about Dead Matter is it actually started out as a Crisis mod years and years ago, obviously on the CryEngine, now on the Unreal Engine is what Dead Matter is currently on, but that was kind of working off of the DayZ mod success, and they wanted to make a DayZ mod-esque game on an engine which just ran better and looked better, so they made it on the CryEngine and did a pretty good job for that. And that's where the developer who I met years and years ago, Johnny Guitar, was originally planning on making his game on the CryEngine. And now, years and years later, obviously been working on this for a decent amount of time, I'm sure not like 5 years or something, but a decent amount of time, they come out with this Kickstarter project for Dead Matter, which is, like I said before, it's the same name as the mod. So I was like, what's going on here? Why has this game got the same name as that game I remember from years ago? Because it's the same guys, or the same guy at least, the guy who I knew who originally started, making the same type of game, a zombie survival game, with a possibility of barricading up buildings, moving furniture around. They show a bunch of weapons in a second, a bunch of different weapon variation, customization, vehicle customization, as well a 400 square kilometer map in Alberta, Canada, which, let's be honest guys, you guys ever been lied to by Canadians? Have you ever met a Canadian who isn't nice? I don't know really any Canadians other than like Spears, but he's really nice. I met him, had a really good time with him at PAX East. So that means there's no way this game can suck, because it's made by a Canadian. Pretty sure all developers aren't Canadian, but the main guy who I know who originally started the mod is. That's good for me. Between now and when I die in approximately 5 years, there's got to be at least one zombie game which just doesn't suck. I don't understand how, after the DayZ mod success and the DayZ standalone's hype and then kind of failure, we'll see what happens with that one in a few years, there hasn't been a single game which, with hordes and multiplayer and PvP and all the things I mentioned before, which just doesn't suck. I was even expecting at this year's E3 back in early July for there to be maybe a AAA development studio, like, reveal, hey, we're making this game that you like, Lewis, but instead it was just a bunch of the same shit we see every year on E3. Nothing really doing anything outlandish, because that's not really what AAA development studios kind of work on. So the entire video you've seen so far has just been their Kickstarter trailer video, and in a few seconds I'll show you guys some other cool stuff with the audio turned up, since there is no voiceover. But if you want to see this original video, you can check it out on the Kickstarter in the description below. But this next video shows off the electricity system a bit, which is another cool feature which really you don't see in any games, at least to my knowledge, that are out right now. Survivor Nights does have a similar system, but this game, which is due to come out in 6 months apparently after the Kickstarter campaign finishes, will have that feature as well. So being able to fully interact with the world, picking up objects, accessing cabinets, turning lights on and off with the light switch and the actual lamps themselves, being able to refuel generators and stuff like that. Keep in mind this video is around about 7 or almost 8 months old now, and it's just one I found on the YouTube channel. It's not really something I'm sure we want to people to see, because it is very much so alpha. If you look at the UIs, they're terrible, but these are things which can be changed pretty quickly if you do have decent knowledge of the engine which they're using, Unreal. And since we have managed to make this already, I'm sure they do kind of know what they're doing, at least. And like I said, you know, Canadians are never wrong, guys, and we also drink milk in bags for some reason. That's pretty cool. I've backed a few Kickstarter campaigns in the past, and I'm kind of on the edge of backing this one. Since I've already reached a goal, it's not like me backing it is really going to do too much else, and since I'm a content creator, I'll probably get a key eventually when we do have something to show anyway. But if you guys are interested in it, I did contact the developers a week ago since you followed me, and, you know, I said, you know, your game looks pretty cool, and I said to them, can I get some exclusive gameplay to show on my YouTube channel? So if you guys would like to see some gameplay, something kind of like this, but in, you know, at the current state of the game instead of 7-month-old footage, then maybe we could get some footage for you guys to look at and just get a better understanding of where Dead Matter is at right now. Since of course it is going to be releasing in just 6 months, it's a good question to wonder, you know, what is it like now and how much is it going to be changing in the 6 months? You really don't know how quickly developers can work until you kind of watch them work. What I'm showing you guys in this video is pretty much everything that there is available for the game right now. Obviously starting off with the Kickstarter trailer, then this video, which a few guys probably haven't seen unless you've looked into the game a bit more. And now we're looking at the Steam Greenlight page screenshots, which actually a lot of them kind of interested me a lot more than the Kickstarter video did. Not to say the Kickstarter video was bad, but I do feel like some of the things which are shown in these screenshots could have definitely been demonstrated a bit better in the Kickstarter video, but clearly we didn't do anything too wrong because we've already reached the target. In fact, I think we've doubled the target at the time of recording this video, and it's only going to get higher. We'll probably end up getting all of our stretch goals, including things like trains, planes, and all of this other shit, which honestly, making a train and a plane and all these other wonderful things in a zombie survival game with hundreds of zombies in it, and, you know, players and enemy AI who you can interact with in the world, it sounds like a dream come true, and many of these things will just remain forever dreams which never become reality. But I would like to think that at some point there's got to be a game which just does it all and doesn't disappoint. There really hasn't been that many that have tried to do it when you think about it. Other than Daisy Standalone, has it really been a game which has tried on such a wide scope to have a multiplayer zombie survival game with an open world? I wouldn't really say so. Yeah, there's been a lot of games which have kind of went on the whole survival thing, but not many which has went specifically into the zombie survival thing and trying to make the zombies an actual threat and have numerous people on those servers. Survivor Nights is one of those few games, which is why I'm kind of excited for that, but still not quite taking the same zombie scope that this game seems to have in terms of numbers. And numbers in a zombie survival are important, considering most people in an actual zombie apocalypse scenario are going to be zombies, not people. I mean, it depends on how far you are through the infection, I guess. But you know what I'm saying, right? There's going to be more zombies than there is humans, more than likely, in a zombie survival game. It's just kind of annoying that the only people who want to undertake these massive tasks tend to be people who have very little experience in the gaming scene. Because like I said before, AAAs don't tend to want to go with these really risky ideas for whatever reason. I'm sure it would pay off if you did it right. So instead, they just leave it to the people who haven't experienced too much game development, like Survivor Nights. I know they haven't like made a, or the devs of that game haven't like made anything big in the past, but we've got a lot of funding behind them, so we can, you know, get some more employees and shit. And the same thing applies for Dead Matter. You're going to get some experts like programmers and art people as well to help with the game, but still the core people behind the game are not like industry veterans or anything like that. And I don't know why that game still doesn't exist. Maybe someone could tell me. Maybe survival games are just dead. I've questioned this before in the past, but I wouldn't like to think that. I wouldn't like to think that. But anyway, let me know what you guys think about this game in the comment section below. I just wanted to make a video on this sooner rather than later. I don't know when they're going to be sending this gameplay video or if they're ever going to send it to me, but I do know it's had clearly a massive success on Kickstarter. The game could have went one of two ways, either going into flop mode and people not having any faith in it, as many zombie survival games have on Kickstarter in the past, or going very, very well. You know, when you think back to even just a few months ago, Breaking Point was on Kickstarter, which already had a massive user base, and they had the backing of many big streamers. But unfortunately, due to the trailer, in my opinion, just not really being too good, even the gameplay trailer, which came out later on in the Kickstarter campaign, they did not reach their goal of 300,000 Australian dollars or whatever it was. Whereas this game looks like it's on the track to actually hit that. I don't really know why. Not to say one game deserves it and another one doesn't, but the Kickstarter trailer definitely was a lot more promising than the Breaking Point one. Breaking Point one really didn't show anything at all. If you guys are going to make a Kickstarter, just go watch the video yourself and say, is this unique? Is this cool? If it isn't, people aren't going to back it. It's pretty fucking simple. Also, an important thing to note is this Kickstarter is an all or nothing Kickstarter, just like the Breaking Point one was as well, which isn't necessarily the most groundbreaking thing, but it just means if a Kickstarter generated, for example, $20,000, they would still keep the money, and since they didn't reach a full amount, they wouldn't be as obliged to, I guess, give what they said originally with a 6-month release date and stuff like that. So it's just kind of a higher chance of it not being scammy if we do an all or nothing campaign, whereas if we're just doing, you know, $100,000, and if we get 50,000, then that's okay too. Then, you know, people can just make campaigns and say a bunch of bullshit and just run away with money. There's really nothing stopping people from doing that. It's happened many times with Kickstarter in the past and all websites like Indiegogo. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. As always, don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and all the good stuff. I can't believe for anyone out there who wants a game like this to just not suck. And I'd say it's my dying wish, you know, between now and when my YouTube career ends or my Twitch career ends, I'd like to find a game which I really fall in love with and which my audience really fall in love with, which is just this dreamy game that I've been thinking about for the past 5 years, and instead of just constantly being disappointed over and over again. And also, again, if you guys want to check out the game, links in the description, whether you're going to back it or you're going to leave a nice page on the Steam page. I'm sure everything's good and makes the developers feel special since their game is getting some form of attention. Keep up the good work, developers, you little Canadians. Bye guys, go drink some milk in a bag.